Pennington and I'm running for VP MCS at the QMU. Let's go.
So just to begin with, if you just want to go over what sort of experience you have that you think would suit you to the role, this role that you're applying for.
So when it comes to just the role of the QMU, I was CSR and CCSR for a year, half and half. Included in that time was a position on Freshers Week Committee, which is headed by the VP MCS. And so I got to see a lot of how that works. Obviously I wasn't 100% involved because I was just a CCSR, which is one of the lower positions on board at the time, but I got to observe and got to really see how that sort of stuff works. And just generally around the QM, I've helped around a lot. I've been in a lot of QMU functions. I help out a lot of events, a lot of social events, volunteer at Condom booth, that sort of stuff. And then out with that, I volunteer at a lot of societies. So I've been treasurer of the Harry Potter Society for 3 years now, and I'm also from that part of the Nerd Collaboration, which is 8 different societies all come together to do the occasional yearly thing like mixes and Kayleys, and I've been helping out with that as well. And from that, I've had a lot of experience as a society going to the QM to organise smaller things, just from booking a committee room for a one-off event to big things with booking off multiple rooms in the building at a time, sometimes going, for the example, for the mixer, going for the ground up until the 3rd floor. So I know what it's like to have that sort of thing of being a society, approaching an executive issue body. It can be very daunting at times, even though I've known them personally, just so happens to be at the time. And just from that as well, I have a lot of communication skills, trying to work with 8 different societies, trying to get what they want to do, to mix what other people want to do, and make sure it all comes together at the end of the day. It takes a lot of just general communication and organisation skills, and it is something that this role overall is just something that I've put a lot of thought of effort into, and it's something that I really want to do.
So this is the same position that you ran for last year.
Yes.
What experience do you think you've gained in this past year that makes you better able to take on the position, or sort of why are you better suited to the position than you were last year?
Experience-wise, I've just had a little bit, so last year what's really changed is I took a step back at the QM. So for me, my life at university from the moment I started as a fresher has been very involved in the QMU. And so last year, when I ran for this position and didn't get it, I decided to, while I was still having at the QM, I've still done a few bits here and there. I withdrew myself a lot. I just sort of enjoyed being a general member, and I've enjoyed going to the QM events and that sort of stuff as just someone going to the events. Like the first time in a while I went to the big Wednesday night pub quiz as someone doing the quiz, and I've just sort of reminded myself why I love the QM just as a general member, and I've just sort of had sort of a moment to myself to just mentally, I think mostly I'm just mentally in a better place than I was this time last year. It's a lot of internal reflection and self-worth that I've gained mostly, which is not something to easily portray, but for me, I'm a lot more confident in this position and what I'm running on than I was this time last year. And more importantly for me, when I was running again this last year, is that what I want to run on has changed. So I'm not just running for the same reasons as I did last year. There are still things I wanted to do, and those things have changed. So it's not sort of a thing as copy and paste. There has been change.
Could you elaborate on what some of those changes are?
So last year, my biggest manifesto points, for example, were digitalising affiliations and to make it just easier to affiliate, and also combining the calendars at QM to make sure there's different double room bookings. Those back then were the big things I was running on, but looking at it now, they are more lower points. I mean, some of them aren't even points I'm running anymore. Now I'm more focused on Freshers Week. Last year I barely touched Freshers Week. This week I really want to re-evaluate Freshers passes altogether. I would prefer to completely change them up, but obviously that's not just my decision, that is a cross-campus thing. So if nothing else, I would, if I got the role, to at least put the changes in place. So if in the future more of the student body, not just the QM, want to change the freshers passes, it'd be easier to do so. I also want to start regular office hours, because while the QMU exec have an open door policy, there is societies have often gone looking for these exec but they haven't been in. So, and often they are looking for the role I'm running for to deal with room bookings or inquiries or anything like that. So I think just having regular times I'm in the office where the open office door policy still stands, but they are, societies are guaranteed that they will go there and I will be there instead of somewhere else in the building or in a lecture or anything like that. Just opens up communication, because I prefer face-to-face sort of interactions. I'm an extroverted person, I know, I'm willing to be an extrovert, but I'm just one of the sort of people, while I like emails and messages at times, I feel like some communication is lost in that because it's writing, and I think it's face-to-face that we could also get just things done more quickly, because that back-to-back can be a lot quicker than it can be via emails and that sort of stuff. Yeah, I think that's what I have to say there.
So you had mentioned this wanting to work across campus to sort of reform the freshers pass system. We know it's been a problem for a number of years, and QMU have already been pushing for it, I believe. It's something Mata wanted to work on. How would you plan on sort of going about this, trying to liaise with the other student bodies and changing, and what would be a better system?
So the system I prefer, and what I found out the current exec at the QM are trying to do as well, is have a system where we still have an overarching freshers pass, but there's also a system in place where freshers can buy a one-night ticket at the door at the QMU or the GEU, because one of the biggest complaints for freshers passes is that to go on that one night out they wanted to do, they have to buy a fresher pass for the entire week. So that's what, 45 quid for one night out. And so having it so there's an option of just doing that 1 or 2 nights out for people who don't want to get the entire pass, just so people can enjoy that one night they wanted to do, but also have it so that those individual tickets, if you add them all up, if you did every single day or 4 or 5 days of the week, they would cost more than over freshers pass. The freshers pass would still make monetary sense for freshers to get. Obviously that is a big change for what's currently going on, and while I do hope it's a possibility, I would like to just somehow figure out a way otherwise to reduce costs of the fresher passes. One of this way would be to digitalise the fresher passes, have it as an e-ticket in some form, because one of the costs of when fresher passes work, when I found out I was on Fresh Weeks Committee, is that the cost of the fresher passes, there's just a block that goes into just creating them and making them and distributing them, and if we could reduce that cost of that, we can maybe reduce the overall cost of the fresher passes to also make it a little bit more affordable for other students, and hopefully if it's then in an electronic form now, in the future, if this sort of system I would prefer to have would come up again, it would be easier to do in an electronic form than in a little card form.
Okay. So you're mentioning digitising again. You're the only candidate who sort of specifically mentions the QMU website really in their manifesto. You want to sort of include a new information page for clubs and societies, move membership sign-ups to online. But how would you go about doing this, and is it sort of feasible to do it in your sort of time frame, which is before Freshers Week?
So, one of the reasons I'm the only person to mention it is because our website's had a big revamp the past couple of years, so lots of the old problems with it have gone, and it's very nice and it's very pretty now, but I do feel like this page is one of the few things it's missing. And while getting it up for Freshers Week is obviously a big ask, there is summer, and I would hopefully, working with the coordinator at the QM who's in charge of that sort of like social media online aspect, to get it up for that point. If nothing else, I would at least like to get it up during my term. While I know Freshers Week is a big ask, I would at least like to have Freshers Week, so even if the website, the actual page itself, online sign-ups will be up at least, so they can just do it as a link via our Facebook group, or just have it on the website as just a link on another page. But I would like to have at least the online sign-ups for memberships ready by Freshers Week, if not the page, because I feel like I agree that the page itself might be a big ask. So at least that one aspect I would like to have that.
And then sort of to add to that, you were saying about wanting to send out weekly emails to QMU members about the events that are going on in the union, so people can see them and engage more with them. But isn't the problem more that people see the events being advertised but aren't engaging, and do you not think you should maybe be working more to incentivise people to want to engage with the union and its events?
That's a very interesting question. That is certainly a point of it. With this particular manifesto point, what I'm more trying to do is that we already have this weekly post on our Facebook and social medias, but that is often lost in social media. Not even I, a very regular QM person, sees it every week. So these emails were more to attack that issue, the issue that people who may want to see these posts that we are doing aren't seeing them just because Facebook has, or Instagram or whatever, has an algorithm it goes through and it decides what its users see and what they don't see. And these emails are mainly to target that issue, to see that, so the people who do want to engage, who may want to engage in this particular event we're running that week, will actually maybe get a chance to see it's actually an event, because often one of the biggest issues we have is that people finding events for past events, so going, oh, I would really like to go to that event, but it was last week. And so that was mainly what that point was issuing. As for getting engagement overall for the QMU, isn't that a question and a half? That is just something, it's something I definitely just don't have an answer to. I'm just one person. It's something, obviously, I would aim at, during my role in this position, to target and try and help and get through, but it's one of the things where it'll be a hybrid method to everyone at the QM, and it's something I think just takes work and constant work really from everyone, and it's just something I will be willing to do at the end of the day.
And we'll just close up with one more. So you're one of 3 candidates running for the same position this year. What gives you the edge over the other 2?
Okay, I think my particular edge is that I'm more, when it comes to experience-wise, I'm more balanced between the two. So while one of my candidates has a lot of experience within the QM, their experience as a society is very, very limited. They barely have any. And while on the other side, my other candidate has experience within a society and has more experience in society, but their experience with him has been much more limited. They've only been at CSR for 6 months, but they have been a president of the society, so they have more of a society background, and my other candidate has more of a QMU background, whereas I have a mixture of both. So I have that QMU background and knowledge, but I also have that society background, and I think that's what gives me a little. I was about to go very East London right there, and I think that's what gives me a slight edge, that I know and I understand both sides of the argument very well. Thank you very much.